Hello, hello, welcome. I've got my camera in a weird spot here. Oh, that's because it's the wrong camera. That's all right, we'll work with it. Uh, Welcome. We are kicking off the next season of Keyforge Team League. This is season 2. Again, head over to that Discord run by Riku and Algernon. It's an awesome league. I'm actually participating in it this season, doing the adaptive format. So we've actually got 2 adaptive matches for you tonight. The first one is going to be BHawk versus Ketzer. We'll take a look at their decks really quick, and I think they're going to be starting soon here. And then the second match will actually be my own against Chimera. So let's get into these decks, and the game should be starting in just a minute or two here. Okay, so taking a quick look at where we're at on the league. This is going to be a Group C game, Sloppy Alliance versus Amber Skaz. I love that. The Amber Skaz is so good. This is going to be, again, the adaptive game, BHawk versus Ketzer. And over here, we've got the decks. So we've got Vera of Harchapel, which is going to be, I believe that's BHawk's deck. So this is a CotA. Just looks kind of nasty. Lots of disruption. 16 disruption score is up there. That is very good. Double life ward. Control the weak. It's got, yeah, just all kinds of things. The grasping vines, the nature's call, Ember Imp, and then not a ton of steel actually in the shadows. It's the customs office, and then the 2 Dodgers, but those have to kind of survive. We've got the old Bruno. Lights Out is, again, more bounce, which is more disruption. Plenty of creature control going on here. Not super fast on the efficiency, but definitely plenty of pips with 13, most of those, or plenty of those, being in Untamed, and that key charge in there is always dangerous. And then on the other side, of course, Ketzer is running DT. Ketzer being one of the avid DT fans out there, claiming that DT is the best set. I don't know if I agree, but this looks like a pretty cool one. 3 eddies, phase shift with a draw pip on it. We've got mind bullets. We've got the static charge, which is always an interesting one if you have some certain combos. Rocketeer Triska in Star Alliance doesn't look like it has anything too crazy to pull off with that, unless you can keep it alive behind the Colonist Chapman taunt there. Double Teresa can give you some house cheating on that end. And then on the Untamed side, we've got 4 Mooklings with double Witch of the Dawn. So keys are going to be costing 8 at least, unless there is some control the weak stuff going on from Vera, because again, it does have a lot of creature control and some of that disruption to maybe slow down some of that. But I mean, it's basically going to be the life wards going off. This does have a washed away though, so there is a little bit of chance for the washed away to hit those life wards, but always hard to say from the outset. This one also has plenty of speed. A little bit lower on the raw pips, but it also has the efficiency to kind of get you there. So we'll see. This could be a pretty even match. It might just be a little bit of who gets the early pressure going, because there's not a ton of Amber control. I guess this one has a lot of tax, but with that key charge and the nature's call, there's a good chance you can just bounce the taxing creatures back to hand, key charge for basically a standard key, and then kind of move on. But you can only do that once a game, because this deck is not doing a whole lot of recursion unless that Witch of the Eye sticks, which pretty unlikely. So let me take a look and see where we're at for the games. All right, they are ready to go. So we've got Ketzer on top again, sporting the DT. BHawk on bottom. Looks like BHawk is going to be getting first turn here. Oh, nice, you're playing the Triad. We are not in the same group, so this does not count as me scouting also. And we're off. So there's an early Seeker Needle from BHawk. I'm trying to think if there's very much. My internet looks like it's catching up just a little bit on pictures and stuff. There's a lot of 2-power things on Ketzer's side. I don't think there's too much that's 1 power. So really it's going to be that when that second Seeker Needle comes down, that's going to be really important. We've got Grasping Vines, Key Charge, and the Nature's Call gone already. So again, BHawk's deck isn't really hurting too much for creature control. But that Nature's Call can be a really big way to kind of sneak some keys through if you can bounce maybe an Eddy and a Mookling in the same turn. Then Ketzer's not really able to get both of those back down. All right, so we've got the, let's see, very quick turns here from BHawk. We had the Kincan come down. It did not steal because of the Shadow's Call and the Shadow's artifact being down. Starlines and Logos could steal if the Kincan comes back down, but losing those upgrades means it's not going to be super survivable. All right, we've got some of the Untamed coming out. So again, that first of 4 Mooklings coming down and getting +1 on it. And that Flumph could just sit there and make that Mookling bigger every turn. It's hard to know if that's worth it. Coming from a 7-card hand, there's a good chance Ketzer's on a 2/2/2 now, but we do see that Mookling get blown up by the Dance of Doom, hitting the 3 powers, which does take out the old Bruno as well. We get the Control the Weak coming out early, putting Ketzer back into Untamed. Ketzer only having the Flumph, so despite having 4 Mooklings, did not have a second one to put down there to tax that key. We've got some Shadow stuff coming out with a Dodger and Bad Penny, and Bad Penny is getting played, so BHawk just wanting to get that Seeker Needle value off of the Bad Penny. We'll see if that pays off. That, again, in a deck with already pretty low efficiency, that Bad Penny could come back to haunt him, but only if Ketzer can find a way to take out this Dodger. I think if this Dodger survives, especially against an elusive creature like Kincan, ooh, and we got the Teresa going on the Flume, so that's going to be able to take out the Dodger. Very nice. And that Flume just getting massive. Is now 8 power and able to be used in Starlines, Untamed, and we'll see if more. Okay, so Pawn Sacrifice takes out the Kincan. Bad Penny continuing to get bounced here, both being sacrificed to the Pawn Sacrifice and the Seeker Needle. And we do see it get discarded there, so not wanting to press his luck too much with that thing. Ketzer going into Logos. I imagine we see some... Oh, no Eddies yet, unless we see one come down here. Again, getting that Flume value. This house cheating on a big creature like that is going to be pretty big. Ooh, the Gateway comes down, so that is very, very timely for BHawk. BHawk's deck definitely has plenty of creature control, but Gateway was about the best one there. Life Ward coming down too is pretty scary. Ketzer's deck is much more creature-centric. Going back into Logos, we're going to see a phase shift, possibly getting another Mookling down here. But Ketzer needs to find some ways to start gaining Amber. And with Customs Office and a Life Ward out, there's just so many things you have to be careful of. But a huge Wash Away there, hitting 5 of BHawk's, I think, 7 artifacts. Really, really big for Ketzer. And Ketzer getting the Mecha Buoy down with the Tide. Does take the Tide, so Ketzer is on some chains there, but now we've got the Witch of the Dawn coming down, which can bring back a Mookling, or that Flume. We are going to see the Mookling coming back. Still a little bit of a slower turn there. BHawk just continuing to gain value off of these creatures and just playing lots of Amber Pips. Grasping Vines is going to put the Mecha Buoy back in hand, and now we have that Witch of the Eye next to Shadow Self. Welcome back in, Astron. We are in game 1, and BHawk is blazing here with this deck. Check at 8 did not remove the Mookling, so Ketzer could try to just tax this key here for the full 8 or stop it, but Ketzer really needs to deal with this Witch of the Eye because that's going to start doing some nasty stuff if it survives. We see a Star Alliance call. Could be a Grand Alliance Council. Yep. So that'll actually take out a lot of Untamed creatures and get the Shadow Self. Ooh. Chooses to kill both of his own instead of the Ancient Bear. Interesting call there. Oh, Ketzer saying it's a mistake. Meant to take out the Ancient Bear and leave the Mookling. And then the Colonist Chapman comes down. Both players playing a little bit fast. We do see that second life ward come down along with the Lash Broken Dreams, just going to make it that much harder for Ketzer to get some momentum going here. I haven't seen any of the eddies yet from Mateo here, so lots of value coming, lots of value used on BHawk's deck, so we could see at least somewhat of a comeback here from this DT deck, just kind of locking things down for a little bit, getting some Mecha Buoy value. But still kind of a little bit of a slow turn there, just one Eddy, discarding the Bilge Warden. Let's see, we're going to see a save the pack, take out the Chapman. And there's the life ward. So no more creatures able to come down for Ketzer. He has the Eddy down, but that's only taxing for 1. And BHawk is on 7 amber. So we'll see if Ketzer can actually stop the key here. Is not able to. Was there a control the weak there as well? No. Yeah, so that life ward is pretty nasty. But again, this is adaptive, so nothing is over yet. We just now have an idea of which deck is doing better in the matchup, but we'll go ahead and swap decks and go on to game 2. But a very, very fast match. I might have to ask my opponent to scoot theirs up a little bit. If we can get ours in a little bit earlier, that'd be great. Okay, so swapping decks here. Ketzer's got the CotA deck, and Ketzer, let's see. Oh, we're not doing Kagi rules. This is going to be standard rules. So player who loses game 1 should choose first player game 2. So Ketzer chooses for BHawk to go first. And we see an Eddy come down early for BHawk, so already getting some efficiency. That took quite a while for Ketzer to get to. We've got some shadows coming down. Discarding the lights out, does not want to bounce that Eddy back for more value. And Mookling coming down, and then the Fittest getting some +1 power counters on there, and then we have the Pixie going on Eddy. Eddy is a little bit tougher for Ketzer to kill here, but again, we saw how much creature control this deck has, so might not be too tough. Dodger comes down. I imagine old Bruno fights into the Mookling here, but might just start reaping. Welcome, Man Architect. Good to have you. This is game 2. So game 1, BHawk got a pretty fast start and just closed it out pretty quick. This CotA deck is very fast, but we're on game 2 now, so they've swapped. So we'll see how BHawk responds. That Dodger is kind of a problem. Yeah, I'm just going to reap with the Eddy, get an extra amber because of the way of the Pixie. Gets a second Eddy down, more archiving going on. So again, much more efficiency coming in from BHawk using this DT deck than we got from Ketzer. Ketzer just had a pretty slow start, just not seeing much of that Logos efficiency. Vespalon Theorist is kind of an interesting one, but the elusive does make it so Dodger can just kind of keep fighting in to steal. But Ketzer having gone Shadows twice already, but Ketzer does decide to go back in. So we will see this Dodger fighting. Could see a pawn sacrifice here too. But Ketzer only played 1 card last turn, so expecting there's only 1 more Shadows card in hand. Oh, but it is pawn sacrifice. Going to take out the Silvertooth after it reaped there. Takes out the Mookling and the Vespalon Theorist, and then the old Bruno takes out the last Eddy, so possible being able to sneak a key here for Ketzer. Ooh, last Eddy comes down, along with the Mind Bullets to take out the Dodger. So a little bit of a reset there, but Ketzer again kind of having that early amber lead, being at 6, but with 3 archives, and that is the last Eddy. So BHawk's amber control answers are going to be much more limited to Untamed as soon as this eddy gets blown up, which is going to be right now by this Dance of Doom. All right, we see the Dominator Bobble, and we see the Control of the Weak into House Star Alliance. Interesting call there. So Ketzer maybe actually wanting BHawk to dump some of their cards, or really just wanting to force the key here because Star Alliance does not have Amber control. You are going to see the Colonist Chapman along with the Rocketeer Triska, so the Chapman's coming in ready. Going to be able to just reap. BHawk does take Chains to take the tide here. Who chooses to play the Force Field afterwards? But we're going to get a Unity or Discord. Okay, so actually really big burst turn here for BHawk. Going to be able to basically replay that entire thing, getting the ward at the end on the Chapman. First key goes to Ketzer, though. We'll see what options Ketzer has for stopping this key. It goes back into Shadows, so still no Untamed called for Ketzer this game. We've got another Dodger coming down, Bad Penny coming down, and then a Silvertooth. So the Mind Bullets being gone is actually really interesting because it means that Bad Penny actually doesn't have that many things that are going to kill it right away on BHawk's side. Do you see a Persistence hunting to tap down all of the shadows? And then Mookling coming down, protected by the Chapman. Deepwater Gruen getting some value. And then Witch of the Dawn. Gonna grab an Eddy back into hand. Second Witch of the Dawn, probably gonna grab a second Eddy here. Yep. So we see a second Eddy going back to hand. So we're gonna have a big Logos turn next turn for BHawk. And quite the board to deal with for Ketzer this turn. We know the deck has answers still, right? There's plenty left, especially in Untamed. Oh, I guess that's just the Nature's Call, but we haven't seen the Gateway yet. We'll see what Ketzer does. It's about the first breath we've been able to take these games. Both players playing pretty fast. Okay, so we've got the Untamed turn with a full moon, so going to be some big burst here for Ketzer. So they haven't played Untamed for a while, I'm expecting. Yeah, there we go. There's a Dust Pixie, and there's Nature's Call. Tough to know what to target here. You probably bounce the Mookling, but is it really worth bouncing too much else here? Yeah, just goes for the Mookling, and it's just going to get as much Amber as possible out of this Dust Pixie and Ancient Bear. And that's going to be the turn. So bursting up to 10, we know there's a Mookling and 2 Eddies. No archives left, so the 2 Eddies would just tax for the full 10 if they're played here. And that looks like that's what BHawk is going to do. Let's see what else is left. It could be a phase shift, or the submersive here would actually be really brutal. But we'll see what BHawk found. We know about the 2 Eddies. There's a static charge. So there's 1. And there's the second. So key cost will be 10 for Ketzer, and that'll be it. Okay, so letting Ketzer have the key at the full 10 and not getting to check himself. But formidable board here for BHawk, but again, could be a Gateway. We did see a very fast move to this here. Gonna reap with a Terror. And doing that smart Dominator Bobble to get the Dodger to fight an Eddy. Lash, Life Ward. Ooh, maybe no Gateway. Ooh, has it. That's really huge for Ketzer. I think if you're going to have it, that's the turn to have it. We will see some Mooklings come back down here. And there's the Washed Away, so good value on BHawk's side for that. Oh, now we see some more shadow stuff coming down. The bad penny comes back out with the double Seeker Needle. So interesting decision for BHawk here. You know, a lot of shadows has been played already. So maybe you just leave the bad penny there. But that does represent check if Ketzer goes to shadows. Well, I guess not because of the two Mooklings. Ketzer does need to find a way to deal with those. I don't remember how many more we have. One, so there's one more Mookling left in deck, but both Witch of the Dawns are gone, so that last Mookling will be kind of BHawk's last defense until a flip. Goes into Logos, though. We see a phase shift for a Light of the Archons. That is not bad. PI Swevin, and discarding the Bilge Warden. So I think the Bilge Warden is maybe the only way to take the Tide in this, except for the Washed Away, but the Washed Away, you basically have to take it for the artifact control instead of the Tide Raise. There's just too much value in that in this game, so we've seen both players taking the chains. Let's see, we see a Hecatomb and a Charette to stop this key, but we're leaving a ready PI Swevin on the board, which can get nasty real quick, especially with those two Teresas, which I don't think we've seen yet either, so we could get some house cheating going on here. Discards the Grand Alliance Council. We see a CR Hawkins for some burst going between the Mooklings. Kincam comes down. Nothing would really steal at the moment unless one of these gets, or really just if the Charette gets destroyed. Stunner goes on Mookling, so it's a big Mookling now. Gonna be a little bit tougher for Ketzer to deal with. And then there's a Zap, which will wipe the board. This Mookling is a problem. We have seen the Nature's Call. There's a Grasping Vines. Bigger. I think what else we've got left. Can't key charge. Costs way too much right now. Save the Pack isn't doing anything for you. Could regrowth. I don't know if we've seen the regrowth yet. Yeah, discards the key charge. It's brutal, but at this point, you have to find creature control. Otherwise, you're not forging. Very tight spot here for Ketzer, though. BHawk going up to second key and 4 amber. BHawk probably has several options here. Can't steal with the house call with Kincan. All of their houses are represented on the board already. Stunner is actually kind of unfortunate right now because you'd have to stun one of your creatures. Oh, it's a May, so you don't actually have to stun a creature. We'll see what BHawk does. I'm going to think about it here, trying to think through what options Ketzer has for kind of stopping the key and dealing with this. Charette's gone. Control the Weak is gone. We've got a Logos call here, so we're going to draw through, which is pretty big. And that'll be it. So just stopping at 6, Mecha Buoy makes it a soft 7. And there's the concession from Ketzer. So this does not have an answer. Really interesting on what could have happened differently there. No Shaffles. Shaffles would have stopped it by 1. You'd have to also take the Tide. But yeah, you don't have any creature control to go along with that, so you're not really getting past what's going on here. Unfortunately, yeah, very, very close game, but just a little bit too much board presence, and Ketzer kind of seeing some stuff awkward early. Lights Out being that early was kind of rough. And then we've got I think the Control the Weak one was the one where I would have thought about doing Logos there. You know they have a lot of archives, so it could have meant Submersive, but that Star Alliance turn that BHawk got locked into was just very, very big in terms of proactiveness. It didn't stop the key, which I think was what Ketzer was going for. So it was the right call in that, but definitely allowed BHawk to get some pressure in a different direction. So GG's to both players again. This is first round of first season, so nothing is really no one's kicked out or anything yet, but yeah, we'll go ahead and switch it on over.